Steve Witkoff goes to Moscow, Keith Kellogg goes to Kyiv. It's time for Russians to leave Crimea because everything is burning around, especially enemy airplanes. This and other topics we will discuss right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and today with us, Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Iryna. I'm glad to see you too.
It's hard to understand what is going on in Putin's sick head, but one thing is clear. The bunker dictator doesn't want to compete with one of the strongest and most powerful armies in the world. He is too weak for it. The US permanent representative to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, known for his brave statements, reflected on Putin's goals, Newsmax reports. But it's also clear for us that Putin's goals continue to be the capitulation of Ukraine. So, Michael, what are Putin's goals now, and can the US break them at all?
Well, Mr. President Putin, he very clear said that he is not ready to go to any peace agreement. He is not go to discuss any peace agreement openly. And his conditions, which he proclaimed about a year ago, is that Ukraine should lend some territories to Russian Federation. 6 different regions of Ukraine should be part of Russian Federation, which is absolutely against international law. That Ukraine should decrease its army by 75% approximately from today's or more, because we don't know exactly what is his new figures that he wants. I mean, Mr. Putin wants, and some other conditions like Ukraine should not join NATO, etc., 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 and Ukraine should be the country without nuclear weapon and without any military unions and without any foreign weapons. Mm-hmm. But, in this situation, Ukraine could only say the same, could only bring the same conditions, like you, Russian Federation, should decrease your army by 75%, be a non-nuclear country, and you should lend us another lands. If you want our lands, you should give us something for exchange, like yes. For example, in the cases of Turkey, Greece, or in case of I remember Israel and Palestine also, we brought the idea to exchange territories, but nobody will give them something for free. Absolutely not. So that's Mr. Putin conditions, and they are absolutely unrealistic. And now everything depends only on the pressure which United States and European Union will put on the Russian Federation. Because without this pressure, Russia could continue with absolutely senseless war, with just more and more people die, and without any sense. Because the front line generally does not move. Last almost 3 years, the last big moves on the front line was in 2022, and this is 2.5 years. After the Kherson operation, which was in November 2022, where almost no move on the front line.
Answering Lukashenko's statements, Putin proclaimed that he is not occupying but liberating territories.
Well, this rhetoric is started from 2022, maybe 2023, when they decided that they liberate some territories, but really they liberate or occupy only territories, but not the people. That is interesting fact. I believe that to our viewers, they could not know that then they capture the territories, Russians, I mean. Mm-hmm. They don't capture any single Ukrainian person. Any single Ukrainian person. I mean, starting from 2023, from January 2023, they captured something like 4 or 5 cities, Ukrainian cities. The biggest one was Bakhmut, which is the city of 80,000 people. They also captured Avdiivka, which was the city of 20,000, and what else? Ugledar, which was also about 20,000, something like that, and Solidar, which was 10,000 population.
Yes.
But nobody from Ukrainians went to Russian Federation together with this city. They all killed everybody. Everybody was all evacuated from this city, and somebody who was not evacuated was killed by Russian forces. So we didn't capture nobody from Ukrainians. I believe something about 10 people. In five cities, we captured 10 people. So it is also absolutely senseless that they occupy or they liberate territory. They liberate territory out of people, and they also liberate territory out of any buildings. Because when they capture, this is not the city, this is the territory. There the city stand before the war started. Because they could capture the territory of the city only after they destroy absolutely every building, every building. Literally, it is literally, this is not metaphor.
Yes.
They destroyed every building in Bakhmut, and it took them half a year. They destroyed every building in Avdiivka, and it took them 4 years. They started this operation 4 years ago. So they really could say that we are not occupying, we are liberating the territory from people, and we are liberating the territory from building. This is the reason why we call this war absolutely senseless. They don't capture just nothing.
Yes, really, we see that Putin wipes our cities off the face of the earth and then says that he liberates and returns them, liberates from life. And that's all, really, and from our people. So let's talk about pressure. That pressure that maybe we will see on the end of this week. The U.S. President's special envoy, Witkoff, may visit the Russian Federation. It is expected that he will arrive in Moscow on August 6 or 7 at the request of the Russian side. Donald Trump said about it during a conversation with journalists. Possibly on Wednesday or Thursday, he will go to Russia. They requested this meeting. We'll see what comes of it, said Trump. Trump hopes to send another signal through Witkoff that he wants a ceasefire in Ukraine and a fair deal. In other words, everything Putin doesn't want. So how might the Kremlin use this visit, and what might they offer Witkoff?
Yeah, that's very interesting that only yesterday evening we heard from President Trump that was really Russian request to send Witkoff. And but I said that in one of my videos on Friday, that is Russians asked from US to send Witkoff. I didn't know that. I didn't have any secret information, obviously. But if you see all the picture, it was obvious for everybody from political observers that this could be the only reason to send Witkoff, only if President Putin asked for that. Because for President Trump, there is no logic to send any envoy, any person to Moscow now. President Trump said, I am disappointed and I don't want to continue to speak with Putin. And this is one of days to speak with Putin. Because all the offers, they done. I mean, the peace offers from United States. All the answers from Russian Federation, they got. We received it by Ukrainian, also by Ukrainian delegation in Istanbul, and by American delegation in Saudi Arabia, and by Witkoff also in Moscow. So, and by the way, the last time we just got a new answer, which is the same, absolutely the same, on Friday from Putin himself in his press conference in Valam Island when he was together with Lukashenko. So it couldn't be any game changer. This meeting couldn't be any game changer. Each side knows exactly the position of the other side. The only thing which could be changed, this is not the general vector of this, this negotiation or this process, but some tactical steps by Russian Federation. For example, the most perspective step by Russian Federation could be offered to organize the meeting of President Putin and President Zelensky. And it could be potentially rather powerful step by Russian Federation, because Ukraine offered this meeting a couple of months ago, and Russian always says, well, we are not ready because Mr. Putin will be ready to meet President Zelensky only after all the peace process, and then the peace process will be ending, then we will be ready to organize this meeting. And Ukrainian side says the vice versa, that without Putin, any question, any dispute couldn't be decided, because nobody in Russian Federation has any proxies to say or to sign anything. They sent to negotiation absolutely senseless people. They sent some writer, no, yeah, really novelist, Mr. Mudinsky, who is a Russian novelist and chairman of Union of Writers of Russian Federation. He is the head of the delegation, and everybody in the world paid an attention to that. Exactly. Then General Secretary of NATO said about that this is very strange, this is not representative, and Secretary of State of United States said, why you sent to negotiation this guy who is nobody, just nobody. Let's send at least Medvedev, for example, who is the second man after Putin, but they're not ready. So now I think that this could be the only step which could change the behavior of President Trump. If tomorrow or till the end of this week, President Putin says, yes, I am agreed to the meeting, and we appoint the date of this meeting, let's say in middle of August, so it will be the realistic to stop President Trump from imposing the sanctions against Russian Federation. And by the way, today it was some voice from Moscow. It was the voice by press secretary of Russian president, who said that Putin is ready to this meeting, but with some conditions, which will be something after the conversation between experts. I don't know which experts, because he didn't mention what was the expert, what he means. American experts, Ukrainian experts, we don't know. But it could be the only step from Russia.
It seems to me that Putin will never start wanting a meeting with Zelensky because he's scared about it.
Not only scared, but he is very weak president in the public discussions, Mr. Putin. He is very weak on negotiation. He never had any debates. Yeah. Let's compare him with another presidents of the world, the democratically elected presidents. President Trump, he had a public debate against Hillary Clinton and against Joe Biden and against Kamala Harris. And President Zelensky, he had not only public debate against the previous president and his opponent on the election, Mr. Petro Poroshenko, the fifth president of Ukraine. They had the debate on the stadium, on the huge national Olympic stadium, with huge number of attendees. So both of them have a good experience of the debate, public debate, and public negotiation, as we have seen it in White House, for example, the public negotiation between Zelensky and Trump and J.D. Vance. And President Putin never had any experience of public negotiation, and he doesn't know how to do that, just doesn't know how to do that. So you could pay attention for part of his Friday speech. I mean, again, the same speech with Mr. Lukashenko. They sit on the bench in some park and spoke to the journalist. He said, we want the negotiation, but we want the negotiation not open. It couldn't be open discussion. It could be very close and very secret negotiation, what I want. Mm-hmm. Yeah? See, but exactly he said what he wants. So this is his not only style, but his only opportunity is to speak without any public. And obviously, President Zelensky wants a public meeting. I mean, okay, with closed part, but with the press conference and with a wide public.
It wonders me that such two old sick leaders like Putin and Lukashenko still think that they can decide world's fate and fate of different countries.
That is not a function of age, because they are younger than President Trump, for example. President Trump is 79, President Putin is 72 or 3, I don't remember, and Lukashenko is about the same age like President Putin. So that is not about the age, but that is about the weight of your country in the world picture, on world global picture, and on the globe. Belarus is 0.01% of GDP, of worldwide GDP. Russian Federation is less than 2% of GDP, and Russia is less than 2% of world population. So Russia is a very small country. We have some territories in some north and some Siberia, but this is not populated territories, absolutely. So that is, you could see that on the map, and if this is the only picture when you see that Russia is big. But in economy or population, it is not so big country. It is country number 11, 12 in economy, and number 10 approximately in by population. But why we think that they are so important and they have some chance to change the world? Because we have something like phantomic pain from Soviet period, I mean. Mr. Putin sometimes dismissed between Soviet Union and Russian Federation. He thinks that he is the president of Soviet Union. Soviet Union, I could say, was the country number 3 by population after China and India. And Soviet Union was the second economic power in the world. And Soviet Union was the country which was absolutely dictatorship, like Russia today. That was a very low technology developed country. But with this low technology development, they somehow sent their missiles to the space, and somehow they built the nuclear bombs, etc., etc. Russians did not build anything. During all the history of Russian Federation, which is the country of 34 years old, it started in 1991, they didn't invent nothing in the science or in technology, just nothing. You never heard about Russian mobile phone or Russian car or Russian artificial intelligence. You could hear only about some Soviet ideas and Soviet technologies. So now it is country which 100% depends on China, on India, on other countries who supply something. On Brazil, by the way, Russia also does not produce planes, civil planes. They produced during last 20 years, they produced something like 50 planes or something like that, which is absolutely not serious. So they just very, very low technology country. Soviet universities, I believe something like 5 of Soviet universities, they in top 10 universities of the world. Now we have 0 Russian universities in top 100, not in top 10, obviously, in top 100. But now about Russian Federation, they don't have any university in top 100. So this is very, very small country, Russian Federation, from any angle we could see that. So that is just phantomic thoughts from post-Soviet leader.
Really, like unrealistic nowadays. Russia doesn't want to get involved in a controversy with the United States over nuclear threats. This was stated by Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov on Monday, August 4, commenting on US President Donald Trump's decision to send 2 nuclear submarines to the relevant regions. According to Peskov, Russia takes a very careful approach to the issue of nuclear non-proliferation and believes that everyone should be very, very very careful with nuclear rhetoric. Really? Is Putin really scared by Trump's nuclear threats? And what is really behind them, behind this Trump's decision about nuclear submarines in relevant regions?
Well, that is not Donald Trump who started this nuclear, let's say, war, cold nuclear war at this stage. Because this war was started by Dmitry Anatolyevich Medvedev, who is officially the person number 2 in Russian authority. He is the deputy of President Putin in National Security Council. He is the deputy of President Putin in National Weapon Council, etc., etc., etc. And he, by the way, he is the chairman of the ruling party. The United Russia. This is the ruling party, and not Putin is chairman, but Dmitry Anatolyevich Medvedev is chairman of this party. So now this war started by Dmitry Anatolyevich Medvedev, who published in his Twitter the post that Russia starts nuclear war against Russian Federation, against United States. Sorry, Russia started the nuclear war against. Now President Trump, he said something like that President Trump should understand that Russia now in war against United States. So obviously the only answer from responsible president of United States was to make his own move. And his own move was to send American nuclear submarines towards Russian shore, and he ordered that. And what will be the next step? Next step maybe will be to move also another rockets and other missiles to Poland, for example, or to Finland, just to short the range of this nuclear weapon, which could strike Russian Federation immediately if Russians they start the war. And Mr. Peskov, this press secretary of President Putin, he said that they think in Russia that nobody could win nuclear war. But that's not true. That's lie. Because United States and European Union, they have very powerful counter airstrike system with Patriots and another kinds of counter missiles systems. And the only Western countries, they have counter ballistic missiles. And Russian Federation, they does not have any. It does not have any counter ballistic missiles. So all the missiles which would be sent from these submarines will hit Russian cities and Russian targets and Russian military guys. But this is not fact that a Russian weapon could hit American or NATO land. This is I am very doubtful about that.
And will Russia try to return the situation to normal in nearest future?
No, if you mean normal as the peace between Russia and Ukraine or Russia and Western world, no, so obviously not. I will bring the reasons why I say that. First, Mr. Putin at the beginning of this year, immediately after inauguration of President Trump, he received the best offer in the world about the conditions to finish this war. Mm-hmm. It was okay. This is not fact. This is not published. But from the rhetoric of President Trump, it was obvious that he offered that we could recognize some occupied territories as part of Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and even Crimea in legal level.
Yeah. And to go also to another conditions of Russian Federation and to start business as usual with Russia. We were ready to buy from Russia, for example, Nord Stream, the gas tube system, Nord Stream, and to be somebody who sells Russian gas to Europe and Russian oil maybe to Europe. And all of this was offered by Mr. Witkoff in March in Moscow to Mr. Putin. But President Putin did not agree to stop the war in these conditions. So now we will never got these so good conditions from President Trump, obviously. So there is no reason to stop this war. Another reason not to stop this war. President Putin believes, I couldn't say believes, but okay, it looks like President Putin believes that this is his strength, the war itself. And this is his source of power. The war is his source of power. And he believes that he is till now the president of Russian Federation only because he started this war. And this is only reason why who could rely on the Russian population. The Russian population supports him in this war. And he could continue and continue and continue this war. And after Ukraine, he also wants to attack another countries, to start with Baltic states, maybe with Kazakhstan, and afterwards to go to NATO countries like Poland, Germany, etc. It is generally his program of as a ruler, as an authoritarian leader of Russian Federation. So there is no reason to stop for him.
But we can stop Russia and Russian occupation forces. Ukrainian forces strike Russian airbase in Crimea. One jet destroyed, 4 damaged. Last night, Ukraine Security Service Special Forces Unit A launched a successful drone strike on a key Russian military airbase in temporarily occupied Crimea. In the early hours of August 4, drones operated by the SBU's elite unit A struck the Saki airbase. Do the occupiers understand signals that they should leave our Crimea? And how painful are the strikes on Crimea for Putin, who considers Crimea a symbol of his victories that do not exist?
No, I'm sorry to say, but that is not the symbolic strike, and that is not some signal to send to Russian Federation. This is just part of the war. In this war, Russia lost hundreds of jets, of military jets. I don't remember exact number, but it is more than 300 military jets. And this is just five more. And this is just the very, very small part of this war. And the territory of this war is very wide. And not only Ukrainian territory, not only Crimea or other Ukrainian occupied territories, but also Kyiv, which they bombed, and also the half of Russian territory. Just during last weekend, Ukrainian special forces struck Russian territory and Russian refineries, oil refineries in different cities, in different regions by drones, by big military drones, and very successful. It was very successful in Samara region, in Ryazan region, and the last strike was in Sochi, which is the resort city of Russian Federation on the Black Sea. There the airport was struck, and the airport facilities, oil and gasoline facilities were struck, and it stopped this airport. This airport was closed. So this is just military routine of this war. Nobody take that as a signal or as a signal to negotiate.
Okay, Michael, what we see next? Steps by Donald Trump, a stunning change of tone. This is the turnabout that Bloomberg reports from the White House. And it's not just about rhetoric. Trump is changing his strategy regarding India to gain leverage over Putin. India has become one of the main targets of US President Donald Trump, who is seeking to put pressure on Russian dictator Putin to stop the war against Ukraine. Several factors and events at once testify to this. Thus, last week, the American leader criticized India for its membership in BRICS and close ties with Russia. In particular, he said that India and Russia can destroy their debt economics together. The attack marked a stunning change of tone for the United States, which for years ignored India's close historical ties with Russia in an effort to attract the country as a counterweight to to China in Asia, Bloomberg writes. However, Trump is now likely ready to abandon this strategy in order to gain leverage over Putin. Also, last week, the US president told the media that, according to his information, India will no longer buy Russian oil. However, the New York Times, citing its sources, reported that despite Trump's threats of sanctions, India will continue to buy oil from Russia. How can Trump use India against Russia, and will India really refuse Russian oil? Reuters, for example, citing several anonymous sources in the market, reports that India's largest oil refinery, Indian Oil Corp, has purchased 7 million barrels of oil from the United States, Canada, and the Middle East as a tender for delivery in September.
During this time when we make this interview, President Trump make the new offer to India, and he said that India is buying the cheap Russian oil, refine that, and sell the oil products. So, in his plan and plans of President Trump to send these tariffs up. So now the tariff on India is 25% because of this support of Russian war. So now he won't increase this percentage, and this is just today's claim by President Trump. So this is the good news. But not only India, this is not only about India. India is very visible part of this process. Mm-hmm. But it started not from India, by the way, it started from European Union. Let's not forget that this process started from European Union a week ago. A week ago, President Trump met in Scotland with Ursula von der Leyen, who is the chairman of European Union, and they agreed the new trade agreement between US and EU. Mm-hmm. And part of this trade agreement is the European Union refuses to buy gas and oil from Russian Federation. Because European Union is buyer number 4, I believe, from oil and gas from Russian Federation. After China, India, and Turkey, by the way. So the first step was against European Union. The second step was against India, but at the end of last week, President Trump also did his first step against Brazil, who is country number 5 by Russian oil imports. And he put I don't remember exactly, but I believe it was 50% tariff on oil Brazilian products because of, as he said, because of Brazil political steps, which are the real threat to American security. And one of these steps is the buying oil from Russian Federation and being the part of BRICS and trying to organize the new, the new currency, BRICS currency, something like that, against US dollar. Mm-hmm. So now he started processes against India and against Brazil and against European Union. So only 2 targets were not hit by Mr. Trump till today. This is Turkey, which buys a lot of Russian oil, and this is China. China is a main buyer of Russian oil. So it will be the development of this situation till the end of this week or till the next Monday, I believe.
And what about China? China, tariffs?
China is the last elephant in this family. Yeah. He always have a bigger fish to fry, and this bigger fish is China. But this is the most difficult situation because India is the country which depends on the United States. Brazil is the country which somehow depends on the United States. European Union obviously depends on the United States, but China is the only country who says, no, we are absolutely independent and we are in the same range like United States. So it is the most dangerous opponent, China. So it will be the most dangerous process to do something against China. And really, I can't predict what exactly President Trump plans to make against China. He said that he is not care about the prices of oil if he put the new tariffs on China, which could be true because oil prices now goes down and not up after his measures against India. But what will be the next step against China? This is not obvious. This is very, very, only in head of Mr. Trump we could read it, but we don't have any possibility to come and to see that.
Yes, really different and all possible scenarios. Michael, thank you very much for this conversation, for your thoughts and opinion, and for your time. See you next week. Take care, please.
Thank you, Iryna. Bye.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Guys, thank you for joining us, for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Michael Sheitelman, and also War and Politics 24. My name is Iryna Uzlova. See you next week. Take care.